Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to make a different mechanism, completely different than just turning gears or pulleys or anything like that. This is going to be what's called a crank and slider. So this, instead of like just moving or changing how fast or how slow or how torquey our rotating motion is, we've just been moving around rotational motion, stuff that spins around. Today we're going to be changing a spinning motor rotation that's rotary into something that goes up and down that could maybe push a button or like pound concrete, whatever. So we're going to be changing rotary motion into something that reciprocates and goes back and forth. And we're going to do that with what's called a crank and slider. The stuff you're going to need to build that today, the crank and slider mechanism, is right here. Now this part is really important. In the past, I always say, well, just get an axle, and as long as it's long enough is good. This one has to be exactly the right length. You need to get one that measures 7 units in length. You can see there's 7 holes in here, and we put this on here, they're the same size. So we need a shaft or an axle that's exactly 7 units long. We need to get some studs. We need to get 2 of them that are 3 in length, 1 of them that's 7 in length, and the other one that's the longest one that's 15 units in length. We need this little 2x4 L shape. What's special about this one, why we're going to use it, is it has a cross at the end of it. So we can slide it onto an axle without it spinning freely. We need these pieces. We have round for 1 unit and then 2 units long of an axle. We need 2 of those. Those will be black. There should be 15 in every kit, so you have plenty of them. We need to have 3 spacers and 2 of these connector pieces that are kind of made like a capital letter H. All right, let's build this. As always, we start by putting in the motor shaft. Again, it has to be 7 units long. I'll show you later why. Because if it sticks out any extra, it would completely ruin the project. Our project wouldn't work. So as always, we're going to put a spacer in the middle just to make sure that after we put it in, we're going to slide it over here all the way to this other wall so that now this thing can't slide out of there. Excellent. Instead of a gear or something round like we usually put on here, we're going to put this to use as a crank arm. This is a crank arm. So I'm just going to put that on right there. And again, it's important that should not stick out at all. There's the shaft or the axle shouldn't stick out at all. Okay, now we need to make so that's the crank. Now we need to make the slider, the thing that slides back and forth that's actually going to go back and forth and reciprocate. All right, to do that, we're going to need these things. So what I want you to do is to look straight across from where this is and go all the way almost to the end, maybe 2 away from the end, and then down. So here's this, and 1 more right above it with a space in between, because this is going to go here. This thing should line up with the motor shaft and the output. So this is our slider. Now we want to keep that slider from coming out, so we're going to cap it with these 2 pieces. And now we have something that slides in there and can't really get out unless we pull it out. But we're going to prevent that from happening right now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 linkage pins, and I'm going to put this one at the right all the way at the end of this crank arm, and the other one on the very first one of the slider. So got one of those on the crank arm, one of them on the slider. And it's on the very end of the crank arm, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and put the very end of it on here, and we're going to slide the other end on this one. So it goes right there, right on the top of those. And then so it doesn't fall off, we have to put spacers on the end of it. It'd be better probably to put the round side down, but I don't think it matters. All right, there we go. Now we're going to see, why do we call this thing the crank and slider? Okay, let's see this thing run. So I got one direction, in the other direction, notice one thing. When it comes to like what happens over here, it really doesn't matter what direction we turn it in. Either way, it works in the same mechanism. Now look what's happening. Ultimately, we're changing this distance. When this is all the way over here, it pulls the arm out. And when it has to go and rotate, it pushes it all the way forward. So we have this, and now we've rotated this into something that punches or hits again and again. And like just as an example, I don't know, like you probably wouldn't want to really do this too much, but I mean, just show you an example of a usage for this. Let's say I wanted something that automatically presses the keyboard button. Let's do it like that. See if I can make this work. So I'll try to press this arrow key. So there you go. There's not a very good application, I guess, but an application. Hey, as soon as you have your crank and slider working, come and show me. Thank you.